IO exception was checked exception, right? Because unless and until we were showing the try catch to it, it was not compiling, correct? Am I audible?
Yeah.
And the
Yes, yes.
input mismatch and arithmetic were unchecked. Like if we were not doing anything, it was still compiling the code. And at runtime, when we were entering in incorrect values, then it was throwing exceptions, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
So what
so
was the exception for the input output that was checked?
see, this is the, you see over here, checked exception.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And similarly, now this unchecked exceptions, correct?
Yes.
So we had arithmetic exception, then we had null pointer exception. You know what is null pointer exception? I guess we did it some time ago, null pointer exception. I'll give you an example of it.
No.
Not sure. Okay, I'll just take a previous example and show it to you. Okay, I'll show you in this. Now, at line number 18, what is happening?
You're creating the object for the class calculator.
Okay, and what is happening over here is the object created?
Yes.
No, object is created like this.
That's right. When you add the
New keyword.
point.
This is how the object is created,
Yeah.
correct? So here at line number 18, it is just a promise. It is just a promise that Casio will point to calculator class object, correct?
Yes.
It's just a promise over here. And now here the promise is fulfilled. I've got an object of calculator, correct?
Yeah.
And who's pointing to it?
Casio.
Yes. Okay. If I don't write this line, now is the promise fulfilled?
No.
Now is Casio pointing to any object?
No.
It's pointing to null. It's pointing to.
No. Okay, got it.
So right now it is just pointing to. So this is your Casio, and it is pointing to null at the moment. It is pointing to. Okay, so this is your Casio, and this is the null object. So right now it is pointing to null.
Yeah.
Now, so if I invoke any method over here without pointing it to an object, what will it throw?
So you what's gonna so can you repeat the last one again?
Now see, is this Casio pointing to any object?
No.
Now with this Casio, if I call the method of the class, what will it throw?
It's gonna be null pointer exception.
Yes, this will throw null pointer exception, correct?
Yeah.
Now I know this will throw null pointer exception. So, but still my code will compile and execute. Means what? Null pointer is which exception?
Unchecked.
Unchecked. Okay. Now let's save it as calc main null pointer. And let's try to see what happens. So now, will this code compile successfully or not?
I mean, based on what you said, yes, it'll compile.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, that works.
So it's okay. I need to point it to null first. I need to point it to. I need to make it point to where?
No.
Null. Compiled.
Yes.
But now when I try to execute it, what will it say?
It's gonna be null pointer exception.
Null pointer exception. Getting the point?
Yes.
Yeah. So if I want to remove this exception, what should I do? I
You
should.
you should complete the promise.
You should complete
Between
the
Casio and calculator.
promise of saying Casio equals to
Equal
new
calculator.
calculator. And now this exception will not occur anymore. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Now array index out of bounds. What do you mean by, what do you understand by this?
I read this one. This one basically means, like, let's say you create an array of size 5, right, and try accessing the 9th element, then it's gonna spit that array out of boundary.
Correct. And it is which exception, checked or unchecked?
Unchecked.
So if I write the code and run, only at compile time I will come to know that there is a problem, correct?
At runtime, you'll
Oh yeah, at runtime I'll come to know, right? So
yeah.
let's try this. So let's try it over. Okay, I'll just require main for that, right? I'll just require some main class. So main for array index. Okay, and now I make an array over here of integer. Okay, integer a is new integer of size 5. Okay,
Yeah.
or if I can directly do this, and put the 5 numbers directly. Okay, now
Yeah.
if I wish to display a number at 0 index, what do I have to say?
0, 10.
A of 0.
Yeah.
So
That's gonna print.
this should display me.
You forgot the closing
Yeah,
bracket
I
on
forgot
this.
the closing bracket. Now I should just save it. .java. Let's try to compile this. Where are you to it? Main array index. What is actually expected?
Yeah, I think you have to do the new.
Usually you don't have to do the new integer. And this is not the syntax for that, I guess. No. Okay, let's just do that. Okay, so if I feed 5 numbers to it, let's say if I say a of 0 is 10.
I think now you can initialize everything in like the brackets.
Okay, and now if I
You can just click hide on that if you need to, and then the code will just disappear.
okay, now let's try it. It's showing me 10, correct? But now if I go and check for index 9, what will this throw?
That's gonna be index at bound.
Array index out of bound exception, correct? There's no index by the number 9. So this is one of the exceptions. Then what do you mean by array store? So
is it maybe, I'm not sure about this it may be that you're storing a double value inside of an integer.
Yeah, correct. So if the type of the array and the content of the array does not match, so this array is integer, correct? If I try to store this in the integer,
then that's not.
so this will throw which exception? Okay, storing array index. So let's compile this. Let's compile this. See what happens. Maybe it will throw the ASCII value of that. It is showing. It is storing the ASCII value of Z over there. Okay.
Yes.
So if we try to put a double quote over there, if we try to throw a string in that, okay, let's try this. Okay, it says string cannot be converted to integer. So if we try to store a different type of data into an array, let's try to store a double. What happens? Okay, it says see, it does automatic typecasting. It does what? You know what's typecasting in Java?
Not exactly.
Typecasting means converting from one type to another. Converting from.
Alright, I figured it. Yeah, I got it. Same thing, similar things. Like it converts the like double to integer or integer to double.
So typecasting is of two types: narrowing and widening. Narrowing and
widening.
So what do you mean by narrowing and what do you mean by widening?
Just like the class types that we discovered, right? Like the public, static.
Yeah. So if I convert an integer to double, what am I doing?
You're adding, increasing the.
So I'm widening.
Yes.
And if I try to convert a double to integer,
narrow.
Yes. So by default, this is allowed. The widening can be done always. Like see this. So widening can always be done. So if this was a double array, and if I would store an integer, it would take it. Because what am I trying to store? I'm trying to widen, right? I'm trying to widen this 5 to 5.0. So there's no loss of data over here. There's no loss of data. So by default, it will permit you the narrowing, the widening part. Okay?
Yeah, but narrowing is not.
But narrowing, it does not permit. It does not permit narrowing. So if I have to do this and try to store a 5.5, this is what? Narrowing? Because it will lose the data, right? This is a loss of data over here. So if you have quoted someone 5.5 million for a property and he just gives you 5, so you're losing over here 0.50 million, correct?
Yeah.
So there's always a loss of data in narrowing. So narrowing has to be done explicitly. Like we have to tell the compiler that I'm doing narrowing over here. But implicitly it will not do narrowing. So if I try to do this, it will not do the narrowing.
Yeah.
Okay. So now if I want to do the narrowing, I will say convert this to integer. Convert this to. So it will eliminate the part of the decimal and store 5 in the array. Getting the point?
Yeah.
So this is called as
typecasting.
Typecasting. Getting the point?
Yes.
So widening is always permissible. It does not permit what?
Narrowing.
Narrowing. Narrowing needs permission. Okay.
Basically, you can also look at it like you cannot fit more like size bytes right?
Yeah,
Of
exactly,
variable.
exactly, yeah, correct.
Double,
Because double will be of 4 bytes, integer will be of 2 bytes. So you can't put 4 into 2. You can always put 2 into 4.
yeah.
Okay, so this was one exception, and like this there are many exceptions. So as and when needed, we'll work with them. So today I wanted to throw some light on nested try. Any guesses what is nested tries?
Try within try.
Yeah, but why would we need it? Do you watch IPL?
I mean, my brother does, but
So do you know the format structure of IPL?
I have no clue.
There are 10 teams. Okay, the top four they go for the qualifier round. The top four qualify for the next round. Okay,
Yeah,
and do you know how the qualifiers are scheduled?
not told you. I'm completely blank on cricket.
Okay, it's the first to play a match. The winner goes to the final. The first two they play. The winner goes to the final. Winner goes to the
Okay, guys, think of brackets. Basically, you're talking about game brackets. I understand this.
so winner goes to the final.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then 3 and 4 play, and from there, whoever wins, they go to the final.
No,
And then
no, no,
between
no, no,
those
no,
two,
no, no, no. That's not the problem. That's not the deal.
oh,
There's a catch over here. And 3 and 4 play. Okay. So this is called as qualif. Now this is called as eliminator. This is called as now 3 and 4 play. Loser goes out. Loser is eliminated. Loser is,
eliminated.
and the
And
winner
then,
then plays the loser of 1 and 2.
yeah, I think, yeah,
Getting the point?
I got it. And then from which, whoever wins that match, then they go to the final.
Yeah. So the winner plays the loser of this match. Are you getting the point?
Yes.
And whoever wins this
Goes to final.
goes to the final. So what is the advantage of coming in 1-2?
That if you would just have won in the first round, you don't have to play too many matches.
And second, you get
And even if
two attempts of qualifying for the final.
yeah,
Correct?
yes,
So you get 2 attempts, right, to qualify for the final.
that's right.
Okay. So nested try works in this sense, sort of. So we have a try. So this red is the outer try, correct?
Yeah.
So this is the outer catch.
Then we have try catch inside.
Then we have a inner try, which has our inner catch. Okay. Now, if some exception occurs over here, what happens? If exception occurs over here at point A,
That's going to be the outer catch.
we'll directly go to the outer catch, and outer catch
Yeah.
will catch it, correct?
And the end of this one.
Yeah. And what happens if the exception occurs over here?
Then the inner catch will catch it, and if the inner catch can catch it, then the outer catch will still catch
Yeah, so it gets 2 attempts of being caught. It
it.
will
Yeah.
first go to this catch. If this catch catches it, well and good. If this catch fails to catch it, it still goes to,
The outer
okay,
catch.
rather we can draw this. It goes over here. If this catches, continues. If it does not catch, it still goes over here. So it gets how many attempts?
Two.
2 attempts. Okay. So now let's do a program on this structure. Let's try. We'll try to make, one second. We will search for something which we can. This is it, right? How do we bring that height back?
Sorry, what was that, sir?
Like,
Okay, you want to stop for a second?
yeah. Okay, so now let's take an example of what? Okay. We can just say this. So you don't have to give a size to the array if we are.
Sir, that won't work, however.
This should work. Tell me should what should be the output of this?
I mean, if it would work, then it would be 10.
Yes, it would work. So what is the file name? In array index, right?
Okay. Yeah, then it's going to be 10.
Okay. Oh. So now let's do nested try, correct? So
Yeah.
let's do it in this only. Or copy this, paste it, and rename it to. Okay.
Yes.
So here we have an array. Let's say what's the array name?
Okay.
And how many elements are there in this array? Let's say 3. Let's say how many?
For 3.
Okay. Now I want to divide index 0 with index 1. This I want this index to be my numerator and this index to be my denominator, correct?
Yeah.
So whatever comes at index 0 will be my
denominator.
And whatever comes at index 1 will be my
numerator.
Okay, so let's just keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. Okay. So what's the size of the array?
3.
Hmm?
2. 2.
2, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I want to choose the indexes for my numerator and denominator. My index is for okay. Are you getting the point what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
My index for numerator and index for
denominator.
So I will ask the user to enter that. Okay.
Alright.
So I'll say him please enter index for what? Numerator, and I'll scan it. So for that I'll need what?
Scanner file. For the utility.
Star. The make object of scanner.
Yeah.
Okay. And it goes where?
Go to end index. Go to c.next.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay, what if he enters 3? What if he enters 3? Do I have 3 index? I only have merely how many index do I have?
2.
Right? So what if he enters 3? What do I do?
Then index, that's an index out of boundary.
So this code is notorious. This code is notorious.
Yes.
So I put it in try. Are you getting the logic?
Yeah.
Krish, I want you to be with me, okay? Don't lag. If you're lagging anywhere, please you can ask me to stop and slow down. So I want you to seep in the concepts. I want you to digest the concepts. Once you understand the concept, programming is not a big deal. Okay, so if okay, then I will also show the user like what is the denominator. So I will say system dot out dot println numerator is what? Tell me. A of
index
an underscore index. Correct?
Yeah.
Is this variable confusing with a big name? Should I take only n and d?
I mean, sure. It'll just make it easier to code.
So should I just take n and d?
Yeah.
You understanding it, right?
Yeah, no, I understand it. Like this is like simple logic for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense.
Yeah. So as per you, I have made it over. Yeah. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. What if he enters 3? What if he enters?
You have to catch the index that is out there.
Yes. So this try will go to this catch, correct?
Yes.
And which exception are we expecting?
Index out of bounds.
Array index out of bounds. Array index out of bounds. Initial letter capital. Initial letter capital for each. So if I save it as a Java file, it will also prompt you. Life will become easier.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I save it as a Java file, it will prompt you. Array. You see this?
Yeah.
And just give any exception name. So let's give array index out of bound exception. Okay. And what will we do in this catch?
Then you just like tell the user that
yeah, we'll say please enter valid index, correct?
Yeah.
Please enter index between 0 and 1. Okay?
Yeah.
Make sense to you?
Yeah. And since we're here, can we also just do like the catch for like all exceptions? So in case anything else does go wrong, then it'll catch that.
Yeah. Okay. You want to make it more robust? You can. Yeah. Default exception handling will always do.
And the function bracket for the first catch got deleted by accident.
Yeah. Okay. Making sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now if he enters 1, if he enters,
That's gonna go
then what will be display?
Then it's gonna be 10.
Numerator is 10, correct?
Yes.
Now next what do we take from the user now?
Then we're gonna take the denominator value.
So we'll
then
tell
another try.
yeah, so I'll take this now. Copy. And now I will ask him to enter denominator, correct?
Yes.
Please enter index for
Denominator.
no. Please excuse my handwriting spelling.
That's fine. Make it pointed simply.
Yeah. So and we put that in
and then index it.
And we say denominator is a of d, correct? So if he enters over here again 1, so numerator also is 10, denominator also is 10, yes or no? And I want to now divide them. I want to do what now? Divide them. So what do I do? Answer equals to, and I say result.
Result. It won't work. N over D won't work because you're going to do 1 over 1 because that's user input, right?
Yeah.
So we'll have
So
to
10 by 10 by 10 is 1. 1 will go in the answer and result is answer.
No, sir, I'm saying when you're on line 23, when you're doing n divided by n, that's the user input, right?
Yeah.
That's just going to be 1 divided by 1. So you
Okay,
have to
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yes.
Now, what also may go wrong over here? If he enters 0, is it a valid index or not?
It's a valid index, but it's going to give.
But what will happen over here?
It's going to be 0, and you cannot divide by 0.
So even this code is notorious,
Yes.
correct? So I put this in a different try.
Yeah.
And what sort of exception am I expecting over here?
Arithmetic exception. Arithmetic exception, I think, right?
Okay, I'll put it over here. I'll just show it to you over here. So what will catch over here?
Arithmetic exception.
And what will we tell that person?
Then you cannot divide by 0.
You can tell the denominator cannot be 0, correct?
Yeah.
Cannot be 0. Okay, now my question, now let's do a, okay, if he enters, let's make a testing tree now. So if he enters, index of numerator is 1.
Yeah.
So what are we displaying? 10.
10.
If he enters, index of denominator is 1. What
And
are we
again, we
displaying?
display 10.
10. And what are we doing over here?
10 over 10.
10 divided by 10 is
1.
and we are displaying answer as
1.
no exception occurring.
No.
Okay, then we can always have a finally over here at the end and say what? Thank you, visit again.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So if this is the input, the output is this, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's, have I saved this program?
It's already in Java file.
Okay,
Save it.
now let's try for different permutation. If he enters this as 0 and
Then
if,
0.
so it will print what?
0.
0. And if he enters over here also 0.
Then this is going to be 0 as well.
0. So what exception is expected over here?
It's going to be the first one, the arithmetic exception.
So what are we expecting over here? The answer will be
Error.
this.
Like, denominator cannot be 0.
Yeah, so over here we are expecting denominator. I'm just writing it over here so that we can just follow the output.
Yeah.
It will display from below. Okay. Okay, now let's do the third test. If he enters over here 3, what happens?
Then it's gonna still
Directly will go to array index out of what exceptions, correct?
Yeah.
And directly will land up where? Please enter index between 0 and 1, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, if he enters index over here as 1, okay, and here if he index as 3, this is the moment of truth now. Here if he enters index as 3,
it's not going to be caught by the catch right below it, but since it's inside of the try already,
yes,
the catch on the outside.
Yes, so this first will go in this catch, right?
Yeah, and it won't notice it, so it's going to go to the outside.
Yes, so this catch will then catch it over here saying please enter index between 0 and 1. So this exception which occurs in this try gets 2 attempts of catching, one over here and another over here. This is what I wanted to show, correct?
Yeah, I guess this also helps with like code repetition, I guess, right?
Yeah, it helps with the code repetition, makes the program more stronger and it doesn't terminate, doesn't crash out. Okay, so now let's test it with these 3 permutations, this which we had. So let's test it. Java, what is the name we gave? Main nested, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god, it compiled successfully. Okay.
Yes.
And now let's run it. So first, what did we enter? 1.
Yeah.
Then what did we enter?
1.
1. Okay. Denominator is 10. Result is 0. Thank you, sir. Again, perfect.
Yes.
Let's try second attempt. This was
0, 0.
0 and 0. So 0. Numerator is 0. Denominator is 0. What does it say?
Denominator is 0.
Okay. Okay. Now let's try for the third attempt.
1 and
3. What am I entering?
3. Yeah.
3, right? So it will not even ask me for the denominator, correct?
Yes.
Because the rule of exception is whatever moment the exception occurs, that very moment Java will create an object of that class and throw it. So all this code will be skipped, correct?
Yeah.
And directly will go to where?
Catch.
Please enter index between 0 and 1 and thank you user again, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So if I enter over here 3, okay?
Yeah.
Getting the point?
Yes.
And if I now will do this one, so if I enter 1 means 10, okay? And here if I enter 3, now this was supposed to be caught by the inside exception, but as the inside exception is only catching arithmetic exception, it goes to the outside catch, and outside catch will catch the array index out of bounds, correct?
Yeah.
So what will this throw?
Enter
index between 0 and 1 only, right?
Yeah.
Got it?
Yes.
What is this called as?
That's the try.
Clear?
Yeah.
So can I strike that off? Can I strike that off again?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Now we have what? Throw. Okay. What is throw? Okay, throw is for user defined exception. What is throw?
User defined exception.
And throws. And what is throw? Okay, we know what is throwable, right? Out of these 3, you know what is, the last one?
Like, is it like checking if the object or whatever is being thrown?
No. It's the parent class. It's the parent class. You know, we did yesterday throwable. The great parent is the object class, and out of the object class we have throwable, correct?
Yes.
Did we do that yesterday? Exception class hierarchy.
Yeah, we went through this.
So throwable is the top of the hierarchy class for exception and error. Okay.
Yeah.
So we see all these classes inherit from exception. The arithmetic exception, mismatch exception, index out of bound exception, they inherit from which class?
Throwable class.
The exception class.
Okay, yeah.
And exception inherits from throwable. Getting the point?
Got it.
So if we have exception class here,
yeah,
we did this yesterday. I guess I showed you this small chart.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, the throwable part.
Yeah. So this is the hierarchy. Exception and error, they all report to whom?
Throwable.
And throwable reports to?
Okay.
So throwable is the top of the hierarchy class in exception handling. Okay?
Yes.
So throwable is done. Now what is left? Throw and throws. Throw and okay. Throw we will use when we have user defined exception. So first let's do this user defined exception. What is user defined exception? Now tell me.
I'm gonna guess it's an exception that the user makes or code programmer.
Correct. So we can have we can make our own exception.
Yeah.
So we can also make our own exception, customized exception. What we can make? Customized exceptions, correct? So normally what we do is we go to any automobile manufacturer showroom and we purchase a car which is in the showroom, correct?
Yeah.
But if these Ronaldo and these big shot, the super rich people, they customize their car, right?
Exactly.
So these the Kardashians, if they have a particular lipstick which they wear, they would want the car color to match their lipstick color, correct?
Yeah.
So what they do, they customize their car, correct?
Yes.
So we can also create our own exception. This is what it means. We can have our own exception. I'll call you later after that. So we can customize and make our own exceptions, correct?
Yes.
That is user defined exception. So let's say if we are a wholesaler and we deal in, let's say, whiteboard markers. Okay, I see a board in front of me, a whiteboard. So we make whiteboard markers. Okay, and who buys from us? The retailers, correct?
Yes.
And we sell in minimum quantity of 500 units. How many?
500 units.
If any person walks into our unit and says, "Give me one piece," will we accept the order?
No.
If he says, "Okay, give me 100 units,"
No.
no. We say, so if we have a portal, if we have a website and we have a text box says enter quantity, enter order quantity. If someone enters over here 100, will we accept the order?
No, it says
So our application should throw an exception saying, please order minimum quantity of 500. Okay, so this is our exception, our business logic exception, correct?
Yeah.
So we can create our own exception and throw it on a condition. So if this condition occurs, then throw our exception. Getting the point?
Yes.
So how do we create our own exceptions? We have to create a class. Okay, so this exception will be what? Low quantity exception. What do you want to name it?
Yeah, sure.
So and let's stick to the standard inbuilt. The exception should end with what keyword?
Exception.
Not mandatory, but it's a good practice. Okay.
Yeah.
And these exceptions are user defined, so they should extend which class? The exception class. Correct.
Yes.
All the user defined and all the built-in exceptions they extend from
The exception.
an exception class extends from
Throwable.
and throwable extends from. So we are here at the moment. So our latest point is whom?
Exception.
Exception. So I'll say what?
Extends exception.
Extends which class? Okay. Now the error message which we wish to throw. So string error message. And let's have a parameterized constructor or a default constructor. So whenever I write a parameterized constructor, I make sure I write a default constructor which is empty. I always follow this. And this will take an argument of what? And let's name it the same. Okay, this is what the developers follow. They use this a lot. They use what a lot?
This.
Making sense?
Yeah.
So far so good?
Yes.
Okay. Now, okay, that day I guess I had initiated this topic. Uh, what is the great grandparent class in Java called?
Object with class or
It's called
like
object. It's called which class?
object.
Object. Object is the super. Let me see if I have some data for you to explain object class. I had something to show it to you, maybe. Yeah, this. I guess this will have. No, I guess it wasn't two string. It wasn't two string. If I have a document for two string, I will surely share it with you. Two string. Yeah, beautiful. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
So these couple on the top of the hierarchy, namely Jan Simon and John Hamilton, correct?
Yeah.
These are the grandparents.
Yes.
Then who inherits from them? Abby, Steve, Gabi, John, Bob, Dale. Okay, either of one of them, but they are couples, right? So maybe Abby is the daughter, Gabby is the daughter, and Bob is the daughter. Yes or no?
Yeah.
And then from them, this lineage goes on spreading. Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah.
So all of these, the descendants, they inherit from whom? The top of the hierarchy.
Yeah.
So this top of the hierarchy class is called as object class. It's called as which class? You see over here.
Object.
Which package is it?
Like.
So if there is any method in the object class, it is passed down to all the descendants,
Yeah.
correct? So
Yes.
my question is, which are the methods of the object class? So here you go. So these are methods of which class?
Object class.
So, and all my classes. So here if you see, Abby directly inherits from John,
Yeah.
and Angie or Mary indirectly inherits from John, correct?
Yes.
But they inherit from him, right?
Yeah.
So if I write over here in a program that extends object, extends what?
Object.
So I'm directly inheriting from the object class.
Yeah.
But even if I don't write, my class is still inheriting from the object class indirectly, correct?
Yes.
Are you getting the point?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm extending which class over here?
Exception.
But if I want to see, we have a function called toString to convert an object to a string. To convert a,
Object to a string.
which method do we use for that?
To string.
ToString. ToString is in which class?
Object.
Object class. So if I am writing the ToString over here also, what am I doing? This is my question to you.
Would you have to import the object class or no?
No, it is automatically imported. It is by birth, it is imported.
Okay.
By birth, Mary imports the DNA of John
Yeah.
and Jan Simon. By birth, she imports it. She doesn't have to. So, what am I doing over here? I am overriding. What am I doing?
Alright.
Because my parent class also has a method by this name. Yes or no?
Yes.
And I also am creating a method with the same name and same argument. So, what am I doing?
It will be overriding.
Because low quantity exception is extending from object. Yes or no?
Yes.
Even if I say it, or even if I say if I don't say it. Clear?
Yeah.
Understood? Not understood?
That's understood.
Correct?
Yes.
So now what am I doing? I'm overriding which class? Which method?
To string.
toString. So it returns the string representation of the object. What does it return? Like a juicer machine. You pass it a fruit, it will give you a liquid form of that, correct?
Yes.
So similarly, you pass an object to the toString. What will it give you? The string representation of that, correct?
Yeah.
So what is the return type of the function? String. And in the object class, what is the specifier?
Public string.
Public. So can I give any narrow specifier while overriding?
No. You can only have it as public.
So I'll have to give it as, and this will return me what string? What is string do we have over here?
Error message.
Clear? So
yeah.
This is my class, which I made my own exception class. Clear?
Yes.
Okay, these are my exceptions. So the inbuilt exceptions Java throws on its own, correct?
Yeah.
But these are my exceptions, so I have to throw them explicitly on a particular condition, correct?
That's right.
So for that, I will use a throw keyword. I will use which keyword? From where the story began in this initial state, we had started. Like, what are we doing? Throw. What are we doing today?
Throw.
So if I want to throw an exception explicitly, I will use which keyword? Throw. Okay. So now I'll go to main. I'll go to the class which has main. Okay. So let's take it as public class. And who's the wholesaler over there in the US? What? Alibaba?
Sure.
Okay. And it will have what? Public class, public static void main string args. And okay, now I take integer quantity, ask the user enter the quantity. Okay, so I can borrow that. I can borrow
like leave the quantity inside the program.
Yeah, as of now, see. Okay, so I take a scanner and take the quantity.
And
please enter.
we would also have to import the
scanner. Okay, yeah, I can import the scanner class. I can just do a copy paste. Okay, so I scanner enter quantity, I scan it. Now what if the quantity is less than 500? So I put a try over here. This is part is notorious, so I put a try if what? Quantity greater than equal to 500 means what will I say? Order accepted.
Yeah.
But if it is not, then what?
Then please enter.
Then I will throw my exception. I will use the throw keyword. I will use the word throw. And what is the natural tendency of Java? Whenever an exception occurs, it first creates an object of that and then throws. Correct?
Yes.
So I will say throw new. And while throwing, I'll pass the exception error, right? Because what am I doing over here? While creating the object. So what I say?
Please enter quantity
greater than. Correct?
Yeah.
And now, if this exception occurs, I have to do a catch. Yes. So what sort of exception am I expecting?
Low quantity exception.
So I will do it in this, correct?
Yeah.
LQ is the object of low quantity exception, correct?
Yeah, and then you can just print.
Yes, so if I just print the object, so this println is expecting a string, is expecting a
string.
And what did I pass to it?
No QE.
Object. So we need a mechanism to convert this object to string. And what is that? To string. And it will return with a error message. And that will be pasted over here. Understood?
Yes.
And this is done. And then we also have what? Irrespective you buy or not, I always have to greet. So what do we say?
And then I mean, like if we really want to make it really robust, then we can also just add like the catch for like a input mismatch, right? And just the basics exceptions.
Over here, you want to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then put the try over here then. Then put. So if you are forecasting that, then
yeah.
Put the try over here.
You don't have to, I think, point of it, right? But I'm just saying.
Yeah, correct. No, correct. It makes a lot of sense to me. Makes a lot of sense to me. Correct. Then what input?
Mismatch.
Okay. So let's save it so that we get the help from Java. Okay.
Yeah.
Alibaba, and what is this? User defined exception. Correct. So that when you open the file, you know what this was for.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have to save it like this. So we have taken this also in the try, means this also can be notorious. So if he enters a Z or a X over here, we'll throw which exception? So let's take help from Java if it can prompt us. Input. Here you go.
Yeah.
And this was in util package, right?
This was in util package.
So we have util imported, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
And here, last one
here we can say, please enter valid integer value, correct?
Yes.
And to make it more stronger,
exception.
Yeah, perfect. So we'll catch all the other stuff also. What do you say?
Error, please.
Some error.
Yeah.
And this will always go in finally.
Yes.
Finally, close the main, close the class, correct?
Yeah.
Save this as what now? You've saved it, right?
It's not been saved yet, so save it now and then run.
Okay. Java C. Okay. Perfect. And okay, 499. What will it say?
Please enter quantity greater than 500.
Please enter quantity greater than 1500 and thank you visit again, correct? And if I say 600,
then it's going to say order accepted, thank you visit again.
Okay, so I'll give you assignments on this today. Some assignments on writing your own exception class. Okay. Okay. So even throw also is out of the window.
Yes.
What is left now?
Throws.
Beautiful. Now throws is very interesting. This also is out of the window.
Yeah.
The last topic of exception is.
So I just had one quick question about like the whole user-defined exception. I'm just gonna guess it's like you're making it so that you can use it multiple times in your own program.
Yes, correct. Normally in the real world, IT companies or the client has its own business logic.
Yeah.
So we have to customize his logic in the form of exceptions. So we will. So normally we make our lot of exception classes on our own, and then throw them as per the condition occurs.
Makes sense.
Okay, now throws very interesting. See if okay, who's your favorite pop star, rock star?
I don't listen to music in that sense. But,
any celebrity who performs? Dwayne Johnson, anyone?
Probably I would say Akshay Kumar is one of them.
Akshay Kumar?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I like
let's
his
say Akshay
lifestyle.
Kumar is in India, okay,
Yeah.
and Akshay Kumar is, let's say, a rock star, okay,
Yes.
and your college or your university has their annual cultural event, okay. So
Yes.
this is your college, Precious College, Canada, and they have their annual college festival, okay, and every year they invite a celebrity across the globe to come and perform, okay, so that they can gather a lot of crowd and the ticket sales can be high, correct.
Yeah.
So they are in negotiation with Akshay Kumar's agent, Akshay Kumar's manager, and they are negotiating the deal with him. So the manager of Akshay Kumar, he has some conditions, okay. He says that, are you all willing to bear the airfare of Akshay Kumar, and that also of business class, not economy class.
Yeah. Of course.
So Krish's college says yes. Krish's college says I do.
Yes.
No, these two magical words.
Yeah.
Okay. Then he says that his accommodation in a five-star hotel or seven-star hotel, whatever, he will not stay in a lodge, he will not stay in a inn, or he will not stay in any rented apartment. He will stay in a
Hotel.
what? Minimum five-star hotel, correct? So who needs to take care of the accommodation?
Christian college.
This college says I do. Then he says commuting, the to and fro from hotel to the college campus will be in a chauffeur-driven car. How do you spell chauffeur?
Yeah.
Is it right?
Yes. So the
Chauffeur,
driver.
huh?
The driver. Basically, you get
Yeah,
your own driver.
yeah. Chauffeur-driven car he wants. He will not drive his car. No, neither will he hire a taxi. There should be a chauffeur-driven car, and that also a limo should come and pick him up.
Yeah.
So, what does Krish College say? I
Yes,
do.
of course.
Correct, blah blah blah, like this. There can be many other terms and conditions, and they all have to say what,
I do.
and then only he signs the contract, okay, yes, no, maybe.
Yeah.
So so Akshay Kumar is just giving a list of things which he needs, correct, which he himself will not procure or arrange. The person who's inviting or calling him has to make the arrangements, correct.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Makes sense.
So I have a function called as void divide, okay, and it takes two arguments, numerator and, yes or no.
That's right.
So this function is prone to which exception?
The Avenger.
So if I do a double answer and I do a n divided by d, what sort of exception is this prone to? So this should come in try catch, correct, as per
Yes.
the logic. Is the font visible or is it too tiny?
No, that's fine. I can see it.
Yeah. And then we have to catch it in which exception?
They put no. That's the exception.
Oh, sorry. Correct. Makes sense to you?
Yes.
This would be the natural tendency.
Yeah.
And whatever mechanism we do, blah, 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 blah. Okay? This is what is not what we have learned till now.
That's right.
Okay. This divide is Akshay Kumar. This divide is.
Akshay Kumar.
Now what is the purpose of this function? What is the purpose of Akshay Kumar? He says, I will perform, okay? He'll perform on some Bollywood numbers, he'll perform. So what is the purpose of this function? If it is returning a double value, so this says I will just return whatever you give me. Make sense?
That's right.
But I have a tendency of throwing a particular exception, correct?
Yes.
So this divide says that I have if you are calling me, I have a tendency of throwing what?
Rest of the exceptions.
So who will do the handling part? The function who is invoking this function, correct?
That's right.
This person says, I will not do anything. I will just tell you what I want. Akshay Kumar says, I will not do any arrangement of my tickets, of my accommodation, of my commuting. I will tell you what I want. So what is this function telling? That I have a tendency of throwing what?
Rest of the exceptions.
Whichever function is invoking me. So let's say if we have a function void display, a void calculator, okay?
Yeah.
And this void calculator wants to invoke the function what? Divide
Yes.
with the two numbers, okay? So who will do the exception handling? I will not do. You are invoking me, your responsibility. So I have a tendency of throwing an exception. So please call me in try catch. Please call me in. And if I throw an exception, it's your job to handle it. I will not handle it.
Sure. Yeah.
Getting the point?
Yes.
So who does the handling part?
The try catch.
Of whom?
The word.
The function who is invoking it. And this function is relieved with all the responsibility of exception handling, correct?
Yes.
So that is called, and one function can throw. So Akshay Kumar can say, I want airfare, I want accommodation, I want commuting. One function can throw multiple types of exception. It can also throw array index, blah blah blah. It can also throw number format, blah blah blah. It can throw n number of exceptions. Clear?
Yeah.
Getting the point?
Got it.
Okay, let's now do it practically.
Yes.
So I'll at least need main first. Oh, this is too much. Won't be getting such. I won't need all this. Yeah, I'm just needing a single catch. Just needing one catch. I can remove all this. Okay. So if let's say we have integer, numerator and denominator, and we ask the user enter numerator and scan it in, where n correct,
Yeah.
and then we have enter, and then we do it in D. And now we need to call which function? Which function?
So, divide.
And what password to it? If this throws an exception, which drop exception will it throw?
It's gonna be caught in the main.
And we say please enter denominator apart from 0, huh?
Yeah.
Denominator cannot be 0, simple.
Yes.
Denominator cannot be 0. Okay. Finally is finally. Now we write the body of which function, and it is taking two integers as argument, correct?
Yeah.
And returning a double.
That's right.
And it is telling that I have a tendency of throwing what?
Rest of the exceptions.
So it throws keyword. throws keyword comes over here. Make sense?
Yes.
And now whoever calling it should call it in try catch and should be able to handle that exception, correct? Okay,
Yes.
it is returning, so we can display the answer correctly over. Make sense?
Yeah.
So this is what throws does. So this is okay. Now what is the catch over here? What is, you've done static, right? So as per understanding of static method, what is going wrong over here? One thing is missing out. We are missing out one thing. Is main static?
Yes.
So integer n and d are mains local variables.
Yeah.
So irrespective they are static or not a problem, will be used, correct?
Yes.
Outside main, if I am invoking anything, if I am using anything, has to compulsorily be
Static.
static. So I am invoking which method over here?
Divide.
Is divide static.
Not great.
So it will throw an error. You want to see? Okay, what do I name this? Throws example. Okay.
Yes.
So let's try that first and see what pops up. So according to me, it should throw an
Yeah.
error saying something about static. Something about static should pop up. You see, okay, scanner nonsense. Scanner import
Java.
java dot util dot. Okay, you see this?
Yeah.
What is
It's
it
not
saying?
static. And now we referred from static context.
Yes. So what is the problem now?
Substitute double static or static double.
Okay. Static double. Okay. Now how static void return
Yeah.
static and the
That's
return
right.
type of the function static double. Okay. Now I compile it.
No errors.
Okay. Now let's try to run this. So if I do 10 and 2, 5.2, thank you, is it again correct?
Yes.
And if I do 8 and a 0, okay. So we relieve this method of the burden of exception handling, and entire burden is transferred to the one who is calling it, correct?
Yeah. Sir, can we try what happens when we remove the throws part in the function in the method?
Which one?
The throws are the exception. And what if we remove that? What would happen?
If you don't write this, then see what
Yeah.
happens. Okay, let's comment it. You're trying to say comment this, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, good, perfect. You should be in the habit of such things with research and development. Try to play around with the code. So let's see what happens. What do you feel? Will it compile successfully?
Because what I'm thinking is that it's just going to send the variable back, the value back to the main method.
No,
right?
but we are doing a divide over there. We are doing a divide. Okay. So numerator 9 and 0 cannot, denominator cannot be 0. Did I compile it? Yeah, I did compile it.
You can compare, like,
Java
that's the point, right? Because like the
7.3.
value is not being printed.
Hmm?
I think I get the like the math is happening in this function, right? But I guess not being like displayed.
Uh, we just doing what? Just returning the value, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean,
this
maybe we would
function,
have done like answer equals n divided by d, and then returning answer, right? Then maybe we reach an error, but I'm not
okay, you
too
want
sure.
to try that? Let's try that. Okay, let's try that. Same.
Yeah.
So what if it would throw another exception? Okay, what if we call it without the try catch now? Correct?
Then I would assume that there's going to be an error.
So if we don't use the try catch to invoke it, then what happens?
And here we could have done like slash and then star, right? To make it easier.
Okay, so that would have done from here onwards.
Yeah. I guess finally as well. Like, include the finally statement
So we can include the final also in that.
in the comment.
Okay. So when I'm calling it without the try catch, because it is not showing any 10 and 0. Okay. So
Yeah.
it has the object has filled on the screen now. Okay.
So at line 7, right, it's
This
showing the
line
error.
7 is that divide, I guess. So
Exactly.
we are doing the divide.
Yeah.
So even if
And
we
then,
don't use this, even if we use this directly, should not be a problem. So then save on a variable. 10 and 9 is 1, 9 and 0 is, so this needs to be handled, this needs to be, so
hello.
this handling can be done at two places, can be done at
The function
two
or
places,
the
can be done over here, put a try catch over here, or we can put a try catch at where?
after you
Yes, so
or
this is the advantage of throws, that you can make the function a light function and push the handling part to the,
I mean, but here we didn't really use the throw statement. We did like it worked fine without it, right? So what would have been the purpose of using the throw statement?
throws, like we had interfaces wherein we would
It's like a
mention.
warning, as you said, right? But I mean, like if the compatible.
Okay, let's check this out. Okay, let's check this out, what is the advantage of throws keyword. Okay, okay, let's see what it says. We used to declare an exception, give the information of the programmer that they may occur an exception, so it is better for the programmer to provide the exception handling code so that the normal flow of the program can be maintained. Exception handling is mainly used for checked
Yeah,
exception. So
I guess it's more so for the program.
it's
Coding
more
the
for
program.
the checked exceptions, I guess. So advantage of Java throws keyword, now checked exception can be propagated. So you can propagate the checked exception. You can propagate the, so if I were to accept the values over here and divide, okay, let's check that. If I were to accept the values of the numbers which I want to divide over here in the function, correct? Okay, and instead of scanner, if I would use buffered reader, if I would use what? Buffered reader, BR is new. Yeah, it's mostly used for a new input stream reader and new system. Okay, make sense? Now, what sort of exception might occur over here now? Yes, Krish.
Yeah.
What sort of exceptions will be occurring over here?
Yeah, we can get the input mismatch or the
So as we are using buffered reader, it will always throw IO exception, correct? Buffered reader code will throw IO exception. Yes or no? Yesterday we had done that
yeah.
in checked exceptions. So am I writing this code in try catch? I should ideally write this code in try catch, correct? You there? Hello.
Yeah, sure.
I should ideally write this catch and then it should have a IO exception handling part.
Yeah.
Yes, no, maybe.
Yes. Then IOE.
And one part for the arithmetic also, because this also is there. So there are two types of exceptions which can be thrown by this block,
Okay.
right? So I should do the handling part of this over here itself.
Yeah.
But if I don't want this function to take all the burden, what do I do?
You can handle this outside in the main.
So what do I do if I don't want this class to take the burden? I'll say what? I am not doing any handling part, but I know that I will throws what?
Um, the two IO exception and arithmetic.
Okay? Which class method which is calling me? The method which is invoking me should take all the precautions. Okay?
Yeah, so we would have to initialize the two variables and in the divide.
We didn't initialize them.
No, they have to be initialized.
Okay?
Yeah,
And now which two exceptions do I need to catch?
those. And so, is there a hierarchy within the exceptions? Like, is like arithmetic exception would it be higher or lower than IO exception, or does it not matter?
If they belong to the same parent, then it's on the same hierarchy.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is what rows is made for. It's made for the checked exceptions. Made for the
Check the exceptions.
now if I do a compile on this to a clear screen. Okay, what it does is say cannot find symbol. So IO is in which package?
The
Huh?
IO package. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
10 and 2, 5, correct. 10 and
Yeah.
0, correct.
Yes.
And now if I comment this out, now as IO is a checked exception, correct,
Yeah.
it will fail to compile. It will fail to compile. You see,
Yeah.
because it is saying that you must show me what precaution you have taken. So you can show the precaution by either try catch or by either throws. Okay.
Yes.
So you can say either try catch. So you can show that you have taken the pen, or you can call your friend and tell your mom to talk to her that he is getting an extra pen for me. Please talk to him.
Yes.
So you can show the handling part with the try catch in the method, or by saying that someone else is doing it for me. Correct?
Yeah.
So throws works for which exceptions?
For check exceptions.
Checked exceptions. So the method is relieved from the handling part. It just says that I have a tendency of throwing these exceptions. Whoever is invoking me, please do the arrangement.
Yeah.
And always invoke me in a try. Always invoke me in a Because I have a tendency of throwing exception. This is the notorious part, correct?
Yes.
So that should be retry. Clear?
Got it.
So I'll share you today's codes. So today was, what all did we do today, Krish?
There was just this.
So I'll send you all of them.
Sure, yeah.
I'll share all of them.